Welcome everyone to tonight's match. I am here joined with Joe Razor. I am your host, username _Intel, as we are here for Owlet's last match of the week. Otters versus JCP. Joe, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this match here.
I'm feeling very excited as well. We're dealing with both of these teams, as Otters currently have a winning with a 3-0 standing, while JCP are now with like -3. They're not doing so well. But I did cut you off, and I want to apologize. So please say your thoughts.
Yeah, I was just gonna say exactly what you said there. Otters picked up a win last week out, 3-0 like you mentioned, but JCP not so fortunate, dropping their match in the exact same fashion, right? Losing all three matches. And so now we're gonna see them clash tonight here, and I'm excited to see what the teams opt to run, and how they and how confident they feel and kind of their read of the meta, which has so far been kind of all over the place.
Yeah, we're starting out on Lijiang Tower. I feel like this map has always been the type to defy any type of meta. You have the opportunity to run Brawl, Double Bubble, Fire Mercy, any type of composition, but I feel a lot of teams are really sticking on to this Brawl with the Sim TP like 100% of the time.
Yeah, you see that on you see that on Night Market, of course, right? That's like the classic Sim TP up to point, and then just kind of brawl it out there. You also see it on Control Center as well. You'll see the Symmetra and then the Junkrat sometimes with it as well. It's kind of like one of the few spots in the game where you see Junkrat played, but we are now just waiting on everybody to be ready, and then once there, we can hop in. Uh, I think most people, including me, would choose Otters to take this game, right? They had a really good showing, like we talked about for a bit last week, and JCP not so much, but who knows? We're early into the season, and while this would probably be an upset, it wouldn't be like a world-shattering upset, right? It's
Yeah,
very
like
close.
either way, I feel like Otters have a lot of expectations to continue performing well. At least for me as an outside viewer, this team has participated in Owlet since Season 2 Minors and Owlet Season 3 Majors. That means your team has a lot of history, and for it to continue to do well looks very great on the branding, looks very great on the players, and looks very great on the coaches. I feel that you really want that to be good, and as JCP, they're relatively a new team to my knowledge. Besides from having a couple players that have been in Owlet majors, their ex-manager of staff was a Season 3 MVP. So that really comes with a lot of planning and idealism. So obviously we're out here on the first point, exactly the one that I wanted to point out with that has the Sim TP.
Yeah, Night Market here. You see, like you just said, Sim, kind of very prevalent on this point. You also sometimes see Pharah or an Echo Plate here as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something I've seen actually recently. I don't know if it's been like scrims. That scrims have led to this, but on this point I've seen Ryan Monkey. It's a very strange comp, but it seems to work well on this point. You kind of just have a lot of brawl damage, but also a lot of accessibility to high ground with that monkey, right? While still being able to hold a maintained presence basically wherever you want. I don't think that's what we will see. It's just a quick little side there. We're going to see a Reaper, though, coming out from the side of Otters, while on the other side, we're going to see the same composition, except with the Junkrat, so interesting secondary DPS choices.
Both of the teams getting ready to teleport, but it looks like we're only going to be seeing Otters go out first, and then the enemy tries to TP. They've messed it up, so now they're just going in slow in this poke. Jay just trying to find any opening, but the composition works best, so Otters don't want to push out. They don't want to give up. Varian going very low, dangerously, to the point they have to use Immortality. Now they backed up to the point, and it looks like JCP has now taken the opportunity to now open up, using Immortality to give themselves some more space. As some Metro just open, Miraculous managed to get mute, but Mac Club able to hit Miraculous. Now the fight's still even, but losing out that Lucio means you don't have speed. Was Beat managing to get out the enemy Lucio, and it looks like they're just being able to walk all over Otters, and now the point's going straight to JCP.
Yeah, really nice fight there, coming out from JCP. Like you said, they didn't miss the TP, they just didn't take it. They got out of spawn a bit later than Otters did. And so they opted not to take the TP there, but that allowed them to get a very straightforward fight. And now they have an advantage in the ult economy as they have both DPS ultimates and the Shatter, which... well, on the other side, you only see Otters with the Ant Matrix. They have built up a bit more, though.
Yeah, Kaiser already using that window. They managed to get out Bender with it. The Shatter comes out, not hitting anyone. I'm guessing just an over-aggressive, trying to state that dominance with the Riptire, getting McNewbie living up to the name. And already Otters have to back out while their main tank lies in the respawn room now.
Yeah, really. Really nice fight there. I mean, they engage... They engage very nicely there with a great opening pick onto Bender, who's the only one with an ultimate. It's a very good ultimate too in that Ant Matrix, but just get shredded down very early on. Now coming into this fight, you only have the sim wall though from the now defensive side of JCP. On the other side, you will be hearing 5 ultimates fairly soon as that sound barrier is almost online. But once again, a huge opening pick.
Yeah, Beatrix managed to get Miraculous. He overstays his welcome, teleports to the high window, and then immediately just gets punished. And now look at this, they're already having to wait out. They've only built up 2 ultimates, especially their sim wall, which is now needed to be built before. Then we're entering into last fight territory. This is not looking great for the Otters.
I mean, yeah, this Junkrat pick, which on a point we don't really see Junkrat historically, has found some really nice value here, but now a very quick sim TP.
Yep, they're already using that window. Shatter comes out, managing to get blocked. Both sound barriers being used to help these teams get some sustain. Now the Graviton Surge now popping out. Immortality managing to keep them alive. Beatrix still managing to find out Bender. Barry managing to get the main tank, so now this is somewhat of an even fight. Was able to get the 3K onto Death Blossom, just barely saving this fight. But in the end, what does it cost when you've used 6 and they come back with 2?
Yeah, they used 6 ultimates in that fight and barely come out with a win. Something that was very strange was they threw up the sim wall, right? But then they played into the Junkrat instead of pushing forward into the brawl and using that sim wall to block off Junkrat sightlines, which is kind of a strange decision. We'll be seeing now a Pharmacy, however, coming out from JCP as they switch off the Symmetra.
Such an amazing competition while the Riptide gets used from the high ground. Managing to get that immortality, but Kaiser gets Bender. They still manage to get April, but look at the DPS just managing to get anything. All that's left is McNewbie just trying to stand their ground with the Sim turret. Still getting picks, but it doesn't really matter. That Mercy, no, Mew goes down. McNewbie is being able to stall up this fight for so long as they're just not respecting this high charge Zarya. Now look, the Sim wall being used. McNewbie managing to get Max the ball, not going back into the point with immortality. We're still at 52% as the fight continues going on while Bender managing to get Kaiser. What is happening here? Looks like Otters are not being... Otters are just able to stall this out, and McNewbie finally dies at the end, but I mean, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was a really very impressive fight there as they hold on there without really having any ultimates to work within that fight. They will now be returning some of these tanks and coming into this, what is going to be most likely the final fight here. It's going to be very even in terms of ult economy. So it'll just come down to who can utilize their ultimates better, and also Mark Hub building close to this barrage could be game-changing.
All windows being used, the Shatter now popping out, 2 gone from the Otters. Bavarian managing to use the Fire Strike with the window to pop out the barrage, and Riptide going out, giving them a chance. Now nobody is left on the point. This is a moment where we have to see Yellow try to touch point, but if you ask me, I don't think that's going to be happening. You don't have the skills, you don't have the Reddit, because it looks like JCP are going to be able to take the first point.
Yeah, JCP start off really good there in that opening, kind of the opening 2 minutes there, right? Building up to 99% very early on. But good attempt there by Otter. Try to bring themselves back into that point. Just not quite enough, though. That fire switch very late from Mark Cup put on a lot of pressure onto the Otter tank line, and so it did just open up more space for the JCP tanks to take space, and they just capitalized on that really well. Now, coming over to Control Center, it's kind of been Sim Junk is what you see historically on here. We're not going to see a Junk, and we're only going to see a Sim from JCP. On the other side, they're just going to start on the Kree and different off tank, as McNewbie is going to be on the defense instead of Zarya here. Interesting clash of compositions.
Yeah, they already start switching off the Symmetra. Both teams have now met onto the point. However, JCP is going to be taking that server room, looking for those angles. They have the Junkrat. They're going to be able to put on so much pressure, especially with the May wall. They're going to now be speeding right onto Varian. His team just trying to bail him out, but unfortunately, they're not going to be able to save him. Beatrix still managing to trade this out. Immortality is being used in towards this fight. The D.Va now going into the back line while Varian's able to get pulse from this fight. Now look at them. They're just trying to just do anything to kind of stall on this point. Otters just don't have their main tank to be able to do anything. Now the point's captured by JCP, but it looks like they still want to stall. Miraculous now going down by 8 for J-Rack 2, as well as now everyone's just trying to reset and get back to the team fight.
Yeah, they were able to get better position basically right from the get-go due to that Symmetra teleport. And so they were able to just posture up where they wanted to and take a fight where they wanted to due to the fact that they were able to take the position faster because of that Symmetra TP. But now coming into the next fight, we're going to have a BAP window coming out from Kaiser, which could be massive. That's really the only major ult currently.
Yeah, it gets used, so Fire Strike goes out, gets hit by the wall. Now it looks like Otters just want to rotate all around side left point, not even give them a chance to use that window. Now the enemy wall being used is going to be blocking off the LOS, but it doesn't really matter because now we see Otters use the wall. Luckily, we see Jack managing to go over it. Now the brawl is starting to go out. The Shatter gets blocked. Now they're using their own window. Same with the Immortality to kind of save them, but Kaiser gets hit by it, and now they're doing nothing but having to stall while the Blizzard gets invested a little early. And the high noon too going up in the air and getting that 2K. JCP are just going to only be able to stall, make club, and the Junkrat just going down so quickly. No stall for them as we see them losing the point at 61%.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of hesitation for JCP to commit ultimates. They committed the window very early on, but then everything else they just kind of did not use for quite a while. Now, they're going to try to re-engage with the Shatter and the Sound Barrier, as the biggest ult on the side of Otter is they have this Blizzard, which nothing to really counter it though.
Yeah, Meganubi does have this D.Va Bomb. I feel like that's a very powerful ultimate right now, especially when you have the remake. The wall coming out to block them, but they're coming out like a pack of children. The Shatter from behind! Oh, hitting the team's Sound Barrier. Now hitting in, it looks like JCP are not doing well. Our JCP are have the advantage as the Blizzard gets used out. Managing to get 2 picks with it, but now they're just having to go into the staggered fight where it just matters into who's getting the value. However, we do see Jack just being able to have high charge and looking to focus down a target. Otters are still holding down onto this point. It's somewhat of an even fight, and we see Varian getting back onto the point. The Reinhardt's now here to help give some sustainability. As Varian's just being able to get these picks, and it looks like JCP want to back out of this fight and stop the stagger.
Yeah, JCP played that kind of really poorly in all honesty. Their target focus was just not there in that fight, so Otter were able to kind of just stall for quite a while and wait for their tanks to come back into that fight. We now have the Tire online, however, from Beatrix, which will most likely try to... They'll want to force out this Immortality first to try to allow it to get some value.
Now they're going to be taking the server room, JCP using the Riptide to hopefully get some angle, but the Sound Barrier stalling this out. They managed to break it out! Yeah, they used that Immortality earlier, but the Variant gets stuck behind the walls, unable to get any type of saving, and they leave Kaiser to die. They didn't put up the shield. Beatrix now going down. We're in last fight territory as Bender's just being able to put on so much healing for the team. The entirety of JCP is split. They've lost their May and Baptiste, who had the only ultimates for the team, while they're relying on Dry to try to get the Graviton Surge, but it's unable. Now nobody's left to touch point, as we're going to be seeing Otters win second point. And honestly, if you ask me, I feel like JCP looked to be very confused throughout the entire map.
Yeah, JCP honestly should have managed to take that fight at least. They just, that Tire from Beatrix just got so much value without getting a single kill. Forced out, it creates so much space. Forces out a Sound Barrier, forces out an Immortality field, and then forces Otters back into this small area. But there just wasn't the capitalization on it that was needed. We're going to see an Echo now coming out from the side of JCP. I would like to see the Mercy with it, but they are going to opt not to run it. Can be a bit hindering without that Mercy, but see what they're able to do with that. There is going to be a Sim pick to start off for Otter.
Yeah, Pulse picks that Sim, allows him to get control of that point so early, but already Miraculous ignores Mew, going around, gets built, Mew pays for their life, and respects for that. However, we do see Otters having control of the point, Immortality going out very early while they try to take this brawl out, Max just flanking while April just goes in and manages to take Pulse while High charge, and the Reiner's just trying to do anything to stall out. Otters had a plan, but looks like they're just crumbling underneath their own toes.
Yeah, that was a... The idea in that fight was really nice. That time the Sim TP just doesn't end up working out for them. As a very, like, kill on a Miraculous. He probably should just try to get out there, but... so now, we're going to see some swaps as Vic Newbie goes over onto the Zarya. And then Pulse is going to switch off the Symmetra onto the Mei. The Shatter online, though, for JCP. And they're also 70% to that duplicate, so... that duplicate is very powerful, especially when the other side is at Reinhardt. Ant Matrix as well to try to stop the initial attack.
Yeah, they're going through White Room. Looks like Miraculous is still a bit back. They're using that Fire Strike and manage to find Bender the moment that they rotate into the room. The wall stopping the speed boost while the enemy team, but the Shatter comes out, managing to be blocked and not just hit anyone. And now everyone's just having to back up from Otters. They don't want to give too much space for them, nor have too much of a stagger. Look, using that wall to stop everything. But it looks like JCP ignored it. They're using that copy. They're just trying to do anything. The Shatter's unable to find anything from the side of Otters. And now they're just going in on Mortality, just keeping everyone sustained and alive. They're just holding this window now as the sound barrier getting used so they can just try to speed in, almost managing to find Varian as he's just trying to slowly back up. April now going down as McNovi's just able to get it, and now they're just brawling into the fight. The Zarya doing nothing, just trying to sustain. And all that's left is Mew, but just like the mythical Pokemon, they're gonna have to disappear for now as we're gonna be seeing Otters take over the point.
Yeah, Otters wrap into that White Room at the very start there and lose the player very early up there, able to withstand a lot of the aggression and come out with some really nice counter aggression in that fight. And so while it was a bit sloppy, Otter just looked like the better team in that fight.
Yeah, now grab sound barrier and window being used, that immortality helping them sustain this fight, but the Shatter, it's absolutely everyone on Otters. April came in hungry. They really only had to invest about 3 ultimates into the fight, which is pretty good comparing to what they've had to do in the last few maps.
Yo, what a Shatter coming out! I mean, it hits, I believe that was a 5-man Shatter there, completely just shuts down the fight. And now coming in the next one, though, the ult advantage, I would say slightly sits with Otters. Well, it is fairly even. Having that Blizzard and Graviton Surge, I would say, is a big
yeah, now they're using that High Noon and Graviton Surge while they move up. Immortality's helping them stay alive, but now that Blizzard caught absolutely everyone on JCP. Even though they've caught this point up to 97%, I doubt there's going to be any sustain or ability to survive. Mac being able to get Bender inside the back line. There's still about 3 people alive, and they're looking to get somebody, but the Tracer's now gone. So it's all up to the Zarya to sustain and be the main take for the team. But Miraculous now clicking heads, just looking to finish off people. Beatrix managed to find Miraculous, but the point's now gone, and Mew's just trying to, again, stall this out, but you have to disappear, go under the truck as we see Otter taking this point, but I wonder for how long this will be.
Yeah, for how long, for sure. I think they will be fine in this next fight. They have the advantage in the ultimates. High Noon close, Shatter already there, Sound Barrier as well. On the other side, you don't really have anything. Closest thing is that Sound Barrier, the Graviton Surge, and I guess the Pulse Bomb. So I would say the advantage in this fight has to go to the Otters, but see what they're able to do.
Yeah, look, they're already brawling in. JCP wanting to take that space, wanting to be have the advantage in since Shatter from Varian, managing to hit absolutely everyone. The Immortality coming out too late to be able to help anyone. Beatrix may be able to find yellow, but you could just consider this a dry fight, even if Mac used the Pulse Bomb.
Yeah, what a beautifully done there. 4-man Shatter completely just erases any hope of a fight there. And the ult economy is still sitting pretty stagnant. Otter stuff at advantage. Now they've managed to build up a Blizzard and double support ultimates.
Absolutely great for the Otters. They can play this however they want to. Using that coalition early, getting the boot onto April. Now at 83%, they have to figure out what they want to do. Do they contest? Do they continue this fight? But they've chosen to continue that. Blizzard managing to freeze Mew the moment he gets over to the spot. But now it's time for the stall phase. That copy going down before it can even find a single value pick. The Graviton Surge and the Immortality managing to keep them alive in that window, just looking to hopefully get somebody. But the Sound Barrier, that Shatter's unable to be used to its full effect. Same with the Pulse Bomb. Mew now now using the solo sound barrier to help out Mac, but it's not going to be able to do anything as we've just entered into the stall phase. We're now dying before any type of saving can be due. And it all is up for Beatrix that they managed to touch point, but almost being immediately melted. They've now locked off as we see Dry kind of fall off the map, failing to push. And unfortunately, because of that, it's going to be leaving Otters to win map 1.
Yeah, Otters, that third and final point there, kind of reminiscent of the first one. JCP take an incredible lead there, 100 to 99, excuse me, to 0, just like on that initial round. But then they just aren't able to hold on to it. Otters were just having very nice rotations, very nice re-engagements to get control of that point. And once what they were managing to do, I'm struggling to explain this, was they were withstanding the ultimates from JCP, or not really withstanding them because JCP were winning those fights, but they were JCP were winning the fights with their ultimates. But as soon as Otters ran out of those ultimates, JCP ran out of those ultimates, Otters were able to come back to the point with their own ultimates, and they were able to have some really nice engagements, which allowed them to secure the point. And then once they got a hold of the point, they never let it go. Their holds on these points were very nice. They were taking some really nice aggression, but also knowing when to back out. So it was just some very nice play from Otters. But something I am a bit worried about from them is the fact that they were not really winning these neutral fights, right? The fights where you don't have any ultimates, they were struggling to win those. And that could be a worrying sign going forward, because there will be a lot more fights in the series, and a lot more points in different maps where you are not going to be able to just rely on building up old ultimates.
And we're also going to be seeing Hawk in for McNewbie and Junkertown being chosen as the map. But something I want to point out is because before we started the map, we were kind of discussing the meta and things that were happening. And we saw JCP run the Tracer. Now, obviously, you said the Tracer's been running well. I feel like Otters did an amazing job denying that Tracer any value, because originally that's what made them win. But in the end, that Tracer was just pretty much taking a spot doing poke.
Yeah, it was just... Yeah, Tracer was getting some good value there. I'm curious if we see them continue. We have a map selection here. We're going to be on to Junkertown. Map I haven't seen in quite a bit, honestly. Used to be the home of the Widowmaker. More recently, it's been a home of your McCree Tracer comps. So I will be interested to see what they opt to go for here.
A lot of what I've seen in Junkertown, people are still sticking on to their bread and butter of double sniper due to the big sight angles, but a lot of teams are either running just that double shield or double bubble.
Yeah, double bubble is really good on this map. It's a very good point there. The double bubble is very strong composition, and I think on this map it is as well. We're gonna have another substitution. Creeps is going to be coming in for Dry Jack on that.
If you ask me, that's somewhat kind of a big change. I think Dry Jack did somewhat very well, but was kind of a major, but was kind of, to those last points, making a few big mistakes. But in the end, it didn't really cost them that much. Like, I'm trying to justify my reasonings of saying this, but honestly, Dry Jack, I feel, may not be the best, especially if they're running to run Devon to this point, or any type of other things. I think they did amazing as Zarya, but their Diva and other compositions just were a bit unlacking.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we are ready to go, I believe. So just waiting on both teams to be ready.
10 billion percent.
This is going to be an interesting map. I think it's going to be an interesting map, I think, because the double bubble, we didn't see it at all. We just saw the brawl exclusively on that opening map. So if we were to see double bubble play, that would be quite nice. A comp I don't think we will see, but I wouldn't be shocked, would be some double shield. We haven't. It's obviously not as good as it once was, but it is still a decent composition on this map. I wouldn't like to see it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we would. I
Listen here,
would
Joe.
like to see them stick with the double bubble.
Yeah, listen here, Joe. All right, I'll tell you right now. I absolutely hate double shield,
I
especially in
will.
this meta.
I don't like the double shield. I just think that I know teams like the double shield, and this is a good double shield map. That's all I'm saying.
I know, and I respect your opinion, and I respect the team's opinion, but I think double shield is just so bad right now, especially if you
I
know
think
how to
Sigma's
run ball.
horrible. I like every time I see a team run Sigma, I just like die a little. And they'll run
I
Sigma.
agree. I don't under. Oh, already look at
They're
that.
running the double shield.
Already, we're seeing JCP wanting to run that double shield on the attack nonetheless with the double sniper. I think the double sniper is pretty cool, and the double shield allows you to protect that point. But the enemy team's running Brawl, so they're just gonna ignore the snipers.
Yeah, ignore them the best you can. The issue is with this type of support line, and then when you're running this double hit scan, the snipers can still find a lot of value. And they can, the D.Va is gonna have a big job. Hawk is gonna need to play like a Hawk from the Atlanta Reign, but only when he was in Contenders, because he's not too good in Overwatch League. But we are.
Yeah, I feel like when you compare people to Carpe and such, you're just never gonna perform well anymore, as we see.
Well, yeah, I'm performing him. I'm comparing him to a not too good off tanker.
Oh, you're right. But listen, we're seeing both of these teams walk out. It looks like Otter's already want to give them a lot of space as they just hide inside of this house. The Baron split, his tank's having to come all the way around, and now they've met out in this cart. Double shield already poking in. Their shields are out as they're just being able to put out so much poking pressure. Interestingly enough, it looks like Otters are just waiting their time for a single pick. Yeah, look, Pulse being able to get Mew from that off angle while we see Miraculous take a 2v1, but Yellow's able to get that A-Preg, and they've lost their front line. Beatrix managing to get Hawks too. Yeah, Beatrix is in behind them. Pulse was able to get that Widow, so now there's nobody stopping or poking them out, and the entirety of Otters can just rotate it back while JCP are just continuing this long poke.
Yeah, this is actually, that was such a nice fight here as, Pulse nearly catches out the Orisa there, but just a really nice off angle for Pulse, set them up well, but now with Flux coming out for this re-engagement.
Yeah, it's with the combo with the Dragon and the Immortality managing to save them before they drop those ults so early that Mew's gonna go down while in the off angle. But we're just having to watch out. Max being able to find Pulse, and now the entirety of Otters is starting to hard engage. Hawks getting Beatrix, and they're just unable to do anything as they have to just back up. Otter still giving them that respect and taking in, but they do have the shatter, and we see Beatrix switch over to the McCree.
Yeah, switch over on the McCree here. Widow's getting dove pretty easily, but speaking of McCree, Miraculous removed.
Oh, that's absolutely insane. They still managed to, Pulse still managed to find Mac, but Beatrix is able to find Variant. They've now lost their main thing. This is giving Double Shield the opportunity to just start hitting W just as they wanted. The poke is immeasurable here.
Yeah, the poke just putting in so much damage. Your cart's going to continue to move those Otters, forced to kind of back out of the space. Bob to try to put some pressure onto JCP, but it's just burnt down very quickly.
Yeah, they're now using that sound barrier to give themselves the ability to just hard push, and it seems to work. They've already gotten 3 picks right now, and the rest of JCP just have to back up. They're just split, wanting to do anything. They still managed to pick off Varian, which I think is kind of funny. And we see April switch right over to the Reinhardt, finally realizing that Orisa, it may take half damage, but it's just not that good.
Yeah, so I mentioned there slightly about the Bob just kind of got burnt down there, but it just required so many resources to do so. So that when the kind of sound barrier ignited push came through, they just didn't have the resources to fight back. But now coming in the next fight, ultimate advantage to the guard.
Look at that, already using that window with Dragon, and the Immortality's broken. Variant almost going down, that D.Va bomb popping out. Too. They were right. They were not behind the shield, giving the advantage straight to the Otters as they're now using that speed boost to be able to hard push while the flank goes straight onto Beatrix, and Mew not being able to get much, and now the entirety of the team just has to back out while the Dravidic Flux gets used.
He has to be swapping. He has to be swapping.
You have to be swapping, but still, Gravitic Flux is such a good ability.
I mean, they had the high noon too. I mean, I would have saved that, even if you don't think the Sigma's the right pick there. I would have saved that for the ult combo. But now coming next fight, they only have this high noon. I mean, this is looking horrible for JCP. I mean, we could see a full hold here.
Honestly, I didn't agree. Look at that, the window being used to shatter. Oh, just ending all of their abilities. The high noon not being able to find anything. And now the hard brawl goes in, and look at that, Otter's just being able to shut down everything before the opportunity. They have to build a single ult. And it's just going to be counting down, and Mew's being able to get buried, but nobody's going to be able to touch point. That Bob just killing Mew while the stall is going in, and we're going to be seeing a full hold on Junkertown. And if I'm JCP, I'm sitting there wondering, why did you make that decision?
This just proves your point, and to a lesser extent my point. Double shield, no. Don't run it. It's not good.
Like, I'm so hyper-fixated on the fact they played Sigma, had Gravitic, and then had High Noon, and just decided to waste it.
The thing that really ticks me off is they had the... Okay, so they switched to the Reinhardt, right? When they were somewhat close to the Flux. So they stayed on the Sigma, I presume, for that Flux. Right? I think they had a fight there. They basically essentially wasted that fight. It was the fight where Hawk had a 2k with the D.Va bomb, right?
Yeah.
And it was in that fight where they, that fight was the first fight where they had run the Reinhardt. And the Sigma was 80% coming into that fight. So you have to assume they stayed on it for the Flux. But then you just waste Flux.
Yeah, and Otters, they played so patiently. They played absolutely amazing going against the double shield. But that's their biggest weakness. They play together. Once you break that immortality with the gridded flux, the high noon has so much space to play with what they want, and in the end, it just doesn't help them out. Going to switch and having no ultimates for the next fight. I'm guessing there must be a Reddit here. Something's happening. The Chipsa is now in the game.
Doomfist on the defense here. We've seen Sparkle run a bit on the Overwatch League level, but no hate to Beatrix, but I don't think he's as good as Sparkle. We're going to see a double sniper with this Ryan D.Va on the attack, though. So this Doomfist could actually find some good value here, especially if you can get a decent dive onto this Widow and Ashe.
Hey, interestingly enough, the Widow's already getting picks. They know that there's a Doomfist. They used a scouting arrow on Hanzo, but right when they entered spawn, and Beatrix just has to back out at half health, having no space or the element of surprise while the payload just continues to get moving. On the bright side, we do see Creep being able to eat up a majority of these sniper shots, but the worst part is Miraculous has so much space that if anyone peeks, Miraculous can just flip off their head. The Brawl going in, Varian just immediately taking in so much damage while this poke goes out. Beatrix unable to do anything, just already half health, having to take the mega health back inside the small room. Hawk's already going inside of the poke. Both of these... No, yeah, please continue while we wait for this slow poke, because look, we do see Pulse 1v1ing Beatrix, losing that out, and now this is the opportunity they've been waiting for. They can fully start to commit. Varian may have the Shatter, but they managed to find Beatrix. Now that's not good. The Shatter comes out, managing to get blocked by Apree, and now Miraculous, again, just being able to start getting picked, having all this line of sight, nobody being able to shut them down. Pulse even going onto the Bastion, just so tired of the sound barrier, helping them to give them space. They lost their main tank. Now nobody can stop them. D.Va also being thrown out in the air, and Mew just walks out, gets hit by it, and Beatrix just tried to do anything, but the Bastion's there by this point. And unfortunately, they played so slow, they gave the Widow the time, and all that's left is Creeps to try to stall with the Immortality as Apree's coming back now, finally built a Shatter, but can't even touch, and the fight is over as Otters are going to be taking the second map.
I don't understand that composition from from JCP, excuse me. I mean, why? Why would you run the Doomfist into anything? I mean, Beatrix basically did nothing that entire round except got one decent dive onto Pulse. Like, he killed Pulse, that's about all Beatrix did the entire round. And it's not because of Beatrix. I mean, Beatrix was making all the right decisions. It's just because you can't play Doomfist into basically any comp. Unless you're on, like, unless you're basically playing King's Row, right? That's one of the few maps where you could get some value out of the Doomfist, but, I mean, not on Junkertown, man.
No, listen, I can understand why they ran Doomfist, but I feel there are circumstances for Doomfist. If you run Doomfist, run a Zarya to bubble that Doomfist to enable them to go in.
Yeah.
the Doomfist pretty much would start poking in. 2 snipers were watching. The only reason why Pulse dies during that fight was because Pulse off-angled the moment Beatrix was off-angling too. But even then, they get sniped by Miraculous because Miraculous just has the freedom in the world to do whatever they want.
Yeah, it it honestly felt like a bit of a comp diff that entire round. It really did, but
yeah, JCP are trying out too many things, but are waiting way too long to be able to do them. I love them to death, but you know, you're going into this match, you need to be expecting the team to be adapting quicker.
yeah, the ideas they're also trying are they're ideas that don't make a lot of sense. Like the Doomfist, the concept of running that Doomfist makes on Junkertown does make sense. It just doesn't work really. I mean, it's the trickle down economics of Overwatch, right? Running a Doomfist on Junkertown, they're gonna play snipers, so run a Doomfist into it. It sounds like a good idea. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, but let's look on the bright side. We're actually getting a somewhat decent Doomfist map when it comes to defense. Icon Vault. We've seen many type of rollouts and things help. So if they do decide to run this Doomfist, I feel like it will help them a lot more.
Yeah, I think this is a map where you could run the Doomfist. Icon World, very, very good on it. If you think back to the 2019 playoffs, right? You saw a lot of Doomfist in that, but this was kind of one of the maps where Doomfist just dominated the server. So I am interested to see if we do see the Doomfist come back out from Beatrix. I would honestly like to just see them run May McCree Brawl. I think that's just what the team should run in this situation. I think the Brawl is just. I think for this
It's
map,
better.
they've been picking. Junkertown's not really a Brawl map, but the Lijiang and now Eichenwald. I mean, these are 2 maps where I feel like you should be running the Brawl, but we will see.
Yeah, if you ask me, I think a lot of compositions that are chosen when it comes to this are kind of just Brawl or Double Shield. However, we're going to be going on a 5-minute break while we let the teams prepare and take their moment. So don't worry about anything. Make sure you stay tuned in as we come back in for this Owlet match.
You just gotta keep moving forward.
Welcome everyone back to this night's Owlet match of Otters versus JCP. We're already kind of discussing things as we go on. Back into Eichenwald, we're seeing candies swiped in for Kaiser, and I think this is going to be a very interesting point as we're, if I believe correctly, on match point for the Otters to win.
Yeah. Otters up 2-0 in the series after taking Lijiang and then a very interesting Junkertown. But now we're heading over to Eichenwald, a map located in Germany. If you aren't a GeoGuessr fanatic, you can tell this is kind of like the older Germany due to the stones used in the castle.
Do you live in Germany, Joe?
I live on the east coast of the United States. Good old America.
Oh, why do you know the brick geometrics of the
I mentioned it. It's a GeoGuessr. I used to play it a lot.
Okay.
I used to be good at it. I don't think I'm too good at it anymore. I haven't played in quite a bit.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You play Overwatch, so I don't think you'd be good.
I mean, not really. Why would I play Overwatch?
That's true.
I could just force others to play Overwatch for my enjoyment.
Exactly. But as we discussed before, back when Junkertown, we saw Beatrix run the Doomfist on the attack, had no success, but now Beatrix is deciding, I'm gonna run it on attack. Which, against the May Cree, this is not gonna turn out well for them.
The only time I've ever seen this kind of work is when Sparkle ran it recently, right? But, I mean, Sparkle's the best Doomfist in the world. So he can kind of force it in situations other people cannot. And Beatrix, like I mentioned last map, is not quite Sparkle when it comes to Doomfist. Good engagement though early on.
Already that punching Bender out of the immortality into the air, giving them an immediate advantage for this fight. Apex managing to get very into that Doomfist, looking to work out into the end because Miraculous now goes down. The Tracer's inside the backline. The May's the only person contesting on this point. JCP looking to have a new fire with inside themselves.
Yeah, so he punched Beatrix. He punched pulls at the very start, which meant he can't get frozen. He could still get flashed there, but Miraculous actually missed his flashbang onto Beatrix, which allows him to follow up onto Bender. But now, coming to the second fight here, no real ultimates. It's supposed to now switch over onto the Somber, going to try to build up that EMP, which it also gets some good manual hacks onto Beatrix, which could kind of stunt the Doomfist progression.
If you ask me, it's a pretty toxic switch. This means they want no chance in Beatrix getting any type of value in the game. As they're taking this high ground, they want to make sure that they're ready, because Mew manages to boot the Zarya off, and they've already started to punch, they've already started to dive, but look at that, the stun goes on the Doomfist, and Reinhardt going down immediately. Same with that Moira. Unfortunately, it looks like that aggressive aggro just kind of turned on against them.
Yeah, like you said, aggressive aggro. I think that would have just been aggro or aggression. But
it was so forward. I had to use two of the synonyms.
Yeah. But now come to the next fight. We're gonna have a couple of ultimates, double tank ultimates, and the high noon for Otter Divers. They're building close to both support ultimates. On the other side, you have basically the same thing. It's gonna be a big clash.
That Shatter gets blocked, the high noon being used, managing to find Mew. Same with the window and Graviton Surge. Interestingly enough, looks like Beatrix is going to be using that slam, looking for value as he slams down into the backline, looking to dive down, managing to find Bender, but is still going to pay with the life, but find Yellow in the backline. I feel like that's an amazing pick still for the amount of ultimates that Otters ended up using.
Yeah, Otters used quite a lot of ultimates, but so did JCD. I mean, they used a decent amount themselves, and with the kill onto Miraculous, due to the spot advantage for JCP, they're able to just start moving the cart forward here, and they have it's kind of similar when it comes to ultimates in the next fight. Double tank ults gonna be online for JCP Pulse Bomb as well. Sound barrier to try to counter this EMP if they're able to dodge it.
Yeah, the stagger went on for so long, and now everyone's rotated onto Castle, already charging in. But by this point, the teams have swapped sides. That EMP hitting 4-5, managing to be
why didn't you use sound barrier?
Amazing, because he got hacked in the middle of it, unfortunately, and having to use it so late to save this team.
No, he didn't. He dodged the EMP and never got hacked. He just never used it.
I could have sworn I saw the hack ability being used on him, but unfortunately, in the end, That's what causes them. They don't use that sound barrier, or at least they didn't have the ability to, and now the payload's being held.
Yeah, I can hopefully catch it when the stream catches up, but I was watching like Mew to see if he could dodge the sound barrier, and I never saw him hack. And he may have like he may have started getting manual hack, so he stopped, but he dodged the EMP and was kind of decent amount away, so he would have been able to just use the sound barrier, but he waits so long there. Now he's down dead very early.
And Sam, the shatter goes out, managing to hit, I don't believe anybody besides Mac, and they're still just being able to hard push the enemy team.
Yeah, it's just a really nice pick there onto Mew, and they didn't use any ultimates, so really nice that, well, they used the shatter, but coming next fight, they are gonna kind of be even with ultimates once again. Double the DPS ultimates for JCP along with those tank ults. Grav, High Noon, and a Coalescence for the defensive side, so...
Yeah, it looks like we want to see JCP taking the castle high ground away. Miraculous gets stunned, but it doesn't really matter. Look at them taking the Graviton Surge already being used as they're charging in. Enemy grab being used, same with the Mighty 3! Absolutely insane. He sticks the moment that they all walk together, and now it looks like they're going to be able to push this cart straight to the second point.
Yeah, really nicely done there, as the Shrew has just caught up on that Mew sound barrier. And what appears to have happened is the EMP, he did dodge the EMP, never got hacked. He did get stunned, but then he waited even longer. So it appears to just be kind of a mistake on his end. But they do end up winning the fight anyways in a different fight. Now able to start moving the car into second.
Using that High Noon and window, looking for some value. They force the entirety of Otters into the corner, but Baron's able to charge Apri out of that corner. Beatrice managing to find him, but it looks like Otters are just having so much ability to walk forward. They have nothing to worry about without a Reinhardt stopping them. They find Candy for days, just being able to move out. They want to get these staggers onto Mew and the loot. He is barely living life on the edge as Vander just shuts him down, and we see Beatrix switch over to the Junkrat. I think that might be a very amazing pick.
Turn it up.
Yeah, that Junk just gets so much value in these close quarters, right? It's just kind of Rank's favorite strat. You're getting beat by a brawl on this point, run a Junkrat. No ultimates, though, for JCP, so I expect him to just kind of run out, try to draw out some ultimates, try to build up some of their own.
They're going to be going into this fight with the sound barrier built up by Mew, as they're now slowly going in. That Blizzard being used so early, only being able to cast a Reinhardt Immortality, immediately be broken, shutting them down. This is pretty much the end of the fight for them, and luckily we don't see them really invest anything, and that's going to be on the bright side. Pretty much a dry fight, and they do manage to get one ultimate.
Yeah, Otter, Oxide really, like you mentioned, didn't really use much. All that JCP wanted to do is draw ultimates out of Otter, and they weren't able to do so, so they maintained this great ultimate advantage coming into a fight where JCP will only have the sound barrier.
Now look at this, already coming out. They want to build Beatrix's Riptire up so they can try and engage with it, but Otters are playing so patiently, already rotating around with the High Noon being used, speeding all around the Maywall, managing to find Mac. The Immortality goes down. They manage to find Yellow A and Pulse Fairy. The Riptire now coming out, but the Immortality is protecting them. Not anymore, as it manages to find Hulks. We're down to a minute, and we still have Miraculous alive. And this is going to be a very dangerous touch, if I'd like to say so.
60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, this is gonna be tough for them to make something happen here. They're just trying to contest on the point. There's a sound barrier there from you to keep everybody up for now.
Yeah, both the Shatter, both sound barriers got used, and the Shatter from April manages to find the advantage. They're able to find Pulse. The entirety of Otters are now split, just trying to find and get back together while they're just looking to brawl out. Mew gets caught out and is now gone. Bender, no more healings coming from the side of Otters as the Reinhardt's just trying to survive, but they have to back out. 30 seconds on the clock. They only have one more fight left, but it looks like JCP are only going to be staggered in the end.
Yeah, they're just getting staggered out slowly, and if Beatrix needs to try to stay alive here, and he looks like he will be able to.
Yeah, Candy for Days has the window too, so they have the ability to go aggressive.
Yeah, they really do. As Mew goes in, he tries to touch a bit too early. Somebody else is going to have to touch there. I don't think he touched early enough to trigger OT. The Wrecking Ball is there, though.
Yeah, he did it! Look at this, the Junkrat already taking pressure, that high noon being used, managing to find Mac. There's gonna be no chance for a Blizzard being built. Yellow now going down, so they have no speed. That window now being blocked off by the Maywall creeps going down inside of it, while they use the Graviton Surge to solo out Katie for days. The ball is still on point. Same with Mew, now coming back onto the point, but there's nobody left to help him out, and this is going to be the end of the push for JCP.
Yeah, well done there for Otter towards the very end there. As they managed to hold off the JCP attack for quite a while.
Honestly, I want to kind of point out something on that last, one of those last fights where the 2 grabs and both sound barriers got used. They got used at the same exact time, but the only difference is that Yellow somewhat delayed it, so when Apret managed to get that shatter out, they were still hit with that sound barrier and were protected throughout it. And then the entirety of, JCP, they don't focus his single target and they space out. Mew ended up going behind the enemy team looking for a sneaky pick, but while Otters were trying to get back together and restabilize, they ended up just pointing him out, killing him, and then eventually getting pick by pick.
Yeah, so... Yeah, great point there, but now we are heading into our second round on the defense's JCP. As they're... gonna be running this McCree May with the Diva. Diva very good right now, like we talked about before. The remech changes can kind of give her really 2 ultimates, but on the attack we're gonna see a McCree Hanzo variation instead of the May, and then the Zarya instead of the Diva. So interesting compositional differences, but the comps want to do the same thing, right? They want to run at you and choose a target and burn that down as quickly as possible.
Yep, this will be all about positioning and team usage, with the only difference being the off-tanks. You're going to just see the difference. They're using that Maywall to block off that LOS and rotate to the left side, just trying to find Beatrix out of position. That Maywall not blocking out Varian. The Immortality managing to save his life. The Sun managing to get through, but they don't manage to find a pick off of it as they force the entire team on Otter's back. Just want to immediately speed on. But the team is somewhat split. Pulse still goes down, and Varian just has to back up. Without his Bay, he feels unconfident in moving in, but it looks like Bender just goes a bit too far out, manages to get poked and benched as Apret just starts shutting people down, hard walking onto them, and Otter just has to respawn.
Yeah, Otter's forced to reset here, and that's a really nice fight there from JCP. They engage really nicely, basically do everything they want, and have their way. Now build up a ton of ultimates, really. Shatter Online, Shatter Online, double DPS ultimates, and this Ant Matrix coming through for JCP.
They're getting ready for this fight as we see them use the window early on the side of Otters and Immortality.
Oh! He cancels the Shatter!
Nothing to stop them. Same with the remake managing to kill off their May. I think an ability, the High Noon was used by Beatrix to hopefully look for anyone, but Varian, you don't feel great if you're in right now. That was just kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, Varian and Apris, I mean, they used their shatters at essentially the same time, just Varian used it a bit too late, so he actually got canceled out of his shatter, losing that, so he won't have that for the future. They do have some decent ultimates, though. I mean, you can engage with the sound barrier, you have the Graviton Search as well, and then double DPS ultimates will be online shortly.
As we're waiting for both these teams, that window being used on the side of JCP very early. That's going to force the team to split up. And Miraculous does go down. He played in an open spot on top of the stairs, and they just poke him out and manage to get that pick. Now they don't want to even engage with Captain McCree. They're respecting JCP, who look to just be awakened at this moment. And look at that, Pulse is right behind them. Pops out the Blizzard, manages to save himself with the wall, but he finds everyone with it. The Immortality isn't even able to save them, as now they're just locked in with 3. The Diva Bomb also coming out, hopefully finding someone, but the Immortality managing to save them. Beatrix still finds Yellow, but the fight's over at this point as there's only 2 people alive.
Yeah, but, yeah, so Otter will manage to capture up first point here. It looks like there's attempt at a stall, but just nobody's able to touch them. Maywall does good to block them off, and now they're on their retreat. We're going to have both take ultimates for Otter along with a High Noon and both support ultimates, so basically everything except that Blizzard on the other side. They will have the Blizzard and the sound barrier to try to withstand some of what Otter's going to throw at them.
It's still somewhat equal, as you said, as now both of these teams are going to be slowly kind of going after each other. We do see JCP still having the high ground, that Maywall being used to block them off the high noon, also looking for the opportunity to pick somebody off. He's going to be dropping down, looking for that target. Miraculous is the only one pushing cart, has to roll his team back, and look at this, now we see Otters have ultimate, and the Shatter comes out! And they use the sound barrier, grabbing on shirts to try to save themselves. Same with the Blizzard, managing to catch out the Reinhardt and Lucio. This might help them bring the fight back, especially after such an amazing shatter, as they're now just looking for this poke from Miraculous. But the wall blocks it out, and he has to drop. The wall blocks him out. His own teammate ends up killing him. They still manage to find out Mac with it, and Bender being able to get on candy for days. The picks are still somewhat even, but on the bright side, Otters have the advantage, and now they've caught out the McCree flanking.
I mean, I thought for a second, I thought Otter were going to lose that fight. I mean, their last hope, I mean, I guess you could say last hope looked like Miraculous with this flanking high noon. Really nice Maywall to block him off, though, but yeah, they still managed to win the fight. They now have this Blizzard and nothing really to counter it other than this defense matrix. If Creeps is able to eat this could be massive.
Look at this, the Blizzard already coming out, managing to find Apex. They're now pushing themselves forward. Hawk being able to find Candy for days, and Miraculous able to find Beatrix. Both of the Crees are down. Looks like JCP don't have anyone to try to stop this push. The sound barrier being used late, kind of in a weird sense, I guess, to hopefully give them a chance to push in when there was only 2 people left. And now we're in the final stretch, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to cap basically to 3rd point.
Yeah, they just gotta push forward a bit more here. 65 meters, 65.46 meters to be exact, and then they will be our winners here, but the Sand Matrix early on forces them back.
They are just respecting this team so much, which is very good, especially when you don't have any ultimates to sustain yourself. The D.Va already forcing Pulse out of the fight. Now they're going to be wanting to engage in the Maywall, not being able to stop anyone. But the Shatter! It's absolutely everyone! The Immortality helping them stay alive. Same with the Phrase, the
Great pick.
The High Noon looking to find somebody, but it gets walled off. He has to cancel it out. There's no sound barrier being built up right now. Mew's gone, and now they're just forcefully pushing in with the window not being used. With the surge and the shatter. The D.Va Bomb now being used. It gets stunned. They do manage to find Bender out, which might be a good pick out in the end. They still get a couple picks as Creeps is the last person in this stall.
Oh, they can't keep varying up. I mean, he goes down here. This could be disastrous. They only have this high noon to try to finish pushing this card in, and the only players remaining are still managing to find the kills, though. I don't know if they're going to be able to push this through.
No,
but Hawk is trying to confirm it.
Beatrix is back on the Doomfist, but he gets killed. There's nobody left to stall. The tanks now come back, but in the end, Otter's tanks now come back. Ball is just trying to do anything they can sell. They have no ultimates to try to sustain. They're just waiting for Beatrix to come back to hopefully look for some value. Now the D.Va going back onto the high ground to try to force out the creeps to the last person touching to get the slam main. Managed to kill up Yellow with the Blizzard and Sound Barrier being used at the same time. However, it looks like Apex is not going to be able to live during this Blizzard. The Doomfist now looking for some value, trying to get off, managing to find Barry. The Immortality now keeping them alive. Beatrix now goes down from the McCree. There's only going to be a Lucio and Mortar touching this point to try and do anything as the Graviton Surge is hoping to be used to focus them out, but Candy goes a bit too far away, barely being able to touch the ball. Now coming back, the Stagger being absolutely insane. The target focus still on the side of Otters as the Doomfist now comes back looking to find Pulse out into this fight, managing to get him out as the team is just looking to do anything, and honestly JCP finally get their momentum back.
How did they hold that?
Out!
I mean, I would have understood if they had held that initially, but now we're just going to see a counter push. I mean, Others had basically all their respawns, but initially what happened there is Varian just went down. And so the hold looked likely, but they were able to stall off with basically nothing happening. And so Otter were able to get their team back, and then they basically lost the stall fight with most of their players. Sound Barrier to engage, though.
And same with the Shatter, they managed to get about 3. Still finding the pick onto Beatrix, that's absolutely massive. Pulse Bomb being used, looking out for a target. The High Noon managed to find Mew. They've now started this long fight as the 30 seconds are back onto the clock. Same with the window, managing to pick out some targets as the ball and the Moira are the last people to touch, but now the Church managing to find them out. This may not be the map because Beatrix comes out. Same with Mew, back onto the point. The stall is still there. There's a chance, and I'm sorry, I tried to give them hope. I tried to give them a chance, but the Otter Oxys are going to be winning this 3-0.
Yeah, winning at 3-0 there, as that is phenomenally played there throughout that entire series, as they will now take this, series 3-0 here, continuing their undefeated map streak, while on the other side, JCP still searching for their first map win of the season. But well done there by Otters. I mean, if they could continue this up, they're looking good to possibly start to establish themselves as one of the top teams, as they are only one of two teams who has they're only one of two teams who has won all 6 of their maps.
Honestly, I think when it comes out of JCP, they looked very good on Eichenwald. Looked like a completely different team, but that momentum just didn't stick up. And if they would have had that map 1, I think by the time we reached map 3, it would have been a lot closer and a lot more different. However, Otters just played a bit better. They evenly had ults. Both of these teams either used about 1 to 2 ults at the start, and by the end, like 3 to 4, kind of in those sense. So they were somewhat even in those usage. No team had the edge, but it came down to the team play and compositional choices.
Yeah, they just kind of got comp diffed at parts. Yeah, they genuinely just kind of got comp diffed at parts of the map, but
not at some of the maps on Junkertown.
Mainly on Junkertown, but in the other areas they were able to kind of and there was other times where they were able to kind of sustain and survive, but I think
we are going to be taking a bit of a break. While we get ready for the interview, we'll be talking to Miraculous, the DPS from Otter Oxys. Either way, stay tuned in for this interview. Welcome everyone back for the interview of the Otter versus JCP match. We are here joined by Otter's DPS insane player Miraculous. Miraculous, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you just had a good 3-0 victory over the over JCP, and I kind of want to get your initial thoughts from that match.
Well, that was a great match. I will say, at no point did it feel like I think there's a lot of times that the scoreboard doesn't reflect how good the game was, and I felt like consistently that was a good game. I thought JCP did great, and I thought that was a good effort from everybody on both sides. So I felt like that was a great match.
That makes a lot of sense. But before I get into my questions, Show, do you have anything to ask Mr. Miraculous?
Yeah, I was gonna ask some more comp specific questions. So like recently we've seen a kind of a wide variety in meta. Um, Mainly at the Overwatch League level, a little less in these type of tournaments and Owlet specifically, because Brawl has tended to be kind of the composition, right? That we see a lot of top team, like a lot of teams have been running, right? Brawl main comp. Do you think the Brawl is kind of a must pick, or do you, is there room for other compositions?
I don't think that Brawl is a must pick at all. I think it's one of the easiest comps to perform well. I think it lends itself a lot to natural synergy. It's really not that difficult to perform, whereas other comps like Double Shield require more team synergy, cycling, less individual hero skill and more teamwork. But I think that's why we see a lot of Brawl, but I think that it's not the necessary end all be all comp right now. I think we've seen a lot of double bubble. I think we see more double shield coming up in the weeks ahead. I think that I think it's in a very nice, like, varied state right now.
Yeah, for sure. One final question before I can throw it over to Intel. We saw a wide variety of maps as well in the series, right? Uh, Junkertown, kind of the kind of differentiates from the other two. Lijiang very brawl heavy, and then Icon a little less, but brawl is kind of still king there. But then on Junkertown, you mentioned you thought we would see a bit more double shield coming up. We saw an attempt at that from JCP. It ended up not working out very well, and yeah, you guys kind of managed to just kind of roll over them with that brawl comp. Uh, do you think that was just kind of their play, or was it more the composition?
I think that there were definitely some mistakes made. I think that when we went into that, we were definitely, seeing that, all right, they're running double shield. We need to play fast. We need to play aggressive. And I think that it was difficult for JCP to maintain the poke distance necessary for double shield to work there. We were making sure to play corners tight and play well up in their face, and I think that really made that composition struggle. So I'm not sure if I would have stuck with that as long as they did, and not switched over when it started getting a little bit hard to perform its function.
Yeah, for sure. Until anything you got?
Yeah, I guess for more of my question, you guys looked very dominant when it came to Junkertown. But honestly, for these other maps, I kind of want to get your perspective on any challenges that your team faced.
Well, we always like to say that the first map is a warm up map. We're still working on building up getting right into that synergy and into that team play. But I think a lot of it was adapting. I think making sure that we were getting into our own roles and making sure that we were adapting to the enemy correctly. Because I think a lot of the time we might end up, at least for me, I end up sort of psyching myself out maybe about my own play at the beginning before I actually go up again. And then once I get more comfortable, I'm able to more adapt properly. But it takes looking outwardly and not being too tunnel visioned on my own play to be able to adapt and then counter, which I think is very crucial.
That makes sense, honestly. And for my last question, right now, your team, the Otters, you're 2-2, 6 map difference. Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. You guys are the second team, so you have pretty much a perfect record right now, besides from Paradise Tempest. So I guess my question is that when you eventually go up a bit against Paradise Tempest, do you feel like it's kind of going to be a close match? Do you guys feel like you'll have the edge over them?
I'm sure that everybody will put up a good fight, but personally, I'm not worried at all.
That's what I like to hear. Do you have any lasting comments for the viewers listening to the stream?
I think that we're seeing a lot of great fights from everybody. I don't think that anybody should be counted out of the running just yet, no matter how they've been performing. I think that everybody has been playing well, and I think that everybody deserves your support and your attention. I think Owlet has a great, very positive, very encouraging atmosphere, and I think that we should all continue to do that for everybody.
That was
Alright,
that was really wholesome.
That was very cute. Makes me cry, honestly. But you are free to go and enjoy your victory on a Sunday night.
Thank you so much, folks. Have a great night.
But Joe, that was a pretty fantastic game, if I do say so myself. One of the best, not one of the best, but very enjoyable to watch, especially for a Sunday night, the end of week 2 for Owlet. Do you have any lasting comments before we end this out?
Kind of like Miraculous said, keep supporting the community, support all the teams. Make sure to follow me in Intel. You can see our Twitters below us. And make sure to keep up with Owlet so you can know when we go live and when other activities are happening around the community.
Yeah, I guess my lasting comment would be, remember, kids, don't ever run double shield, and stay tuned for next week of Owlet.